Greetings, good afternoon, entrepreneurs all over the world. Thank you very much for joining us right here at Entrepreneurship Institute of Zimbabwe, EIZ, our payoff line, Mentors for Success. And of course, we do prioritize knowledge, innovation, and transformation. Your host, my name is Dr. Charlie, TSBD, the Small Business Doctor, and welcome to another exciting episode of EIZ Insights, whereby we unpack different topics of interest with the hope that you get one or two takeaways to help you in your entrepreneurship journey. So, once again, welcome, and you are new here, please. We want to encourage you to click the subscribe button so that you become the first to get notified each time we release or I release spotlights like this. Now, before I proceed, I want to encourage you to get EIZ certified. How do you do that? Simply enroll for our January 2026 intake, and of course, we do have certificates and diplomas in various business management courses. Right, let's get straight into our EIZ insights in this episode. Right, it is entitled Motivation for Getting into Business. So, this is the theme that we are running with: motivation for getting into business. Put in other words, you could be asking, why do people get motivated to start businesses? Or what are the sort of drivers that cause people to say, let me get into business? Okay, so in our previous episode, before we look into today, we were looking at the economic theory. The economic theory. We said that, in as far as the economic theory is concerned, it explains that people get into business after identifying opportunities for making money. Another way to put it is after identifying arbitrage opportunities. Arbitrage opportunities simply means there is that chance that you can put a markup on existing situations, and then you put your own markup. And when you put your own markup, it means you have made a profit. Now, because this is the economic theory, I told you that it looks at the four factors of production. If you remember your economics, or if you did your commerce way back in high school, you remember the four factors of production. And we said there is land, there is labor, and there is the entrepreneur. Okay, land, labor, entrepreneur. What's the fourth one? I'm forgetting the fourth one. Land, labor, entrepreneur. I don't know why. My mind is off. But just go back to the four factors of production: land, labor, entrepreneur. Yes, the fourth one is capital. Finally, it came. I don't know why my mind was failing to grasp this. So, the four factors of production: land, labor, capital, and the entrepreneur. So, as far as the economic theory is concerned, the entrepreneur is the one who then comes in and say, "Oh, there is land, there is capital, there is labor." So they then put these factors of production into some a logical mix, so that at the end of the day, okay, they make money. So the economic theory says the reason why people get motivated to get into business is because, to start with, they can access the capital. Capital is accessible. And number two, if you can access it, it is accessible at an affordable interest rate. When we say capital, we are saying money. So many people say, I want to start a business. I've got a business idea, but what I don't have is capital. Okay. So the economic theory says people are motivated to get into business if there is capital. Number two, if that capital is accessible at an affordable interest rate. For example, can I borrow $100 and then I'll repay it as $105 after a year? Can you see what is happening? It means you have simply been charged the $5 for the whole year. Look at that. Of course, you won't get that in the market. Okay. Usually you are looking at 15%. Others, this is the regulated ones, but others you can be told, I give you 100 and you return it as 200, which means 100% interest. So if the interests are very high, it discourages individuals to wanting to start business. Okay? Another thing that the economic theory explains is the buying power of the local currency. This is something that we all understand. The buying power, your local currency, in our case, the Zimbabwe dollar. If you are from Kenya, you are looking at the Kenyan shillings. If you are from Ghana, the Ghanaian shillings. That's what we are talking about. The Ugandan shillings, okay? The Mozambican metcash. That's what we are talking about. The Australian dollar. We are saying the buying currency. How is it worth? And in most cases, we then compare it with the global index currency, which is the exchange rate. That is, how many dollars of your national currency do you want to buy $1? So if your currency, the exchange rate is very weak, it also affects you, especially when it comes to imports and exports and how you're going to price or how you're going to put your price there. So this is what the economic theory talks about. So to summarize, the economic theory is simply saying there must be opportunities for making a profit. Capital should be accessible. Interest rates should be low. Inflation should be low. The exchange rate should be very strong. Okay? The economic policies, the monetary policy, and the fiscal policy, that is how government expends, all that is what the economic theory of entrepreneurship speak to. And it then says when everything is fine, and as far as the economic theory is concerned, then you're going to see more people encouraged or incentivized to start their own business. Now, today, we want to build upon that and introduce another theory, that is the political systems theory. What does the political systems theory say about why do people get into business? Okay, so the political systems theory is simply looking at the political organization of the day in that particular country. We all know that in all our economies, we've got the government, we've got the legislature, okay? The government, the legislature, which is your parliament, and you've got the judiciary, which are your courts. And the government, of course, is formed by a political party. So usually it is the ruling political party which influences government policies, and of course the opposition will also countermand or come up with opposing policies. So what we are saying is the political system plays a key role in providing incentives or in providing situations that will make individuals to want to get into business, or that will discourage individuals not to get into business. In short, it is the political system in any given economy that is responsible for creating a favorable business environment or a favorable business climate. I'm sure you have heard things like the ease of doing business, the ease of doing business. And we do have bodies like the International Monetary Fund and others, World Bank, which always assess, evaluate, and looks at the ease of doing business. In other words, if any individual wants to get into business, obviously they would want to register a company, whether it's a private limited, a PBC, or they want to get into a partnership, or it is a club, or it is a trust, or it is a cooperative, or it is a circle savings and credit organization. What I'm saying is it is the political system which influences government, which then creates policies, which then shapes the business environment, whether it is favorable or it is not favorable, whether we will be able to say the doing of business is very easy. That's why this is information which you can get on the internet. Right now, you can actually Google ease of doing business in African economies, ease of doing business in America, ease of doing business in European economies, ease of doing business in Russia, China, Asia, I mean, you can Google, you can actually see the statistics come out where you are told, for example, in this particular country to register a company is 1 week, in another country 3 months, or that kind of thing. Obviously, if you are going to take more days, months to start to register a company, it means doing business is very difficult. Obvious, if you are going to be told that to access credit or to get a loan is very difficult, the requirements, they want a house, they want a car, or they want an aeroplane, then it means it's really difficult, because you're going to say, where am I going to get an aeroplane? Where am I going to get an aircraft? That's what I'm talking about. So the political systems theory is simply saying the politics in that particular economy, of course, feeding into the government, play a key role in creating a favorable business environment, which will then influence individuals to say, I want to start my own business. So it filters through, or it cascades down to the rules and the procedures and the institutions. That's what the political system theory speaks to about motivations to get into business. And as you can see, it is closely related to the economic theory, because who again is in charge of the macro fundamentals of any economy? Who is in charge? Obviously, it is the minister of finance in that particular country, and the minister of finance obviously is responsible for the national economics that are going to drive that country. They are the ones who are going to pronounce the monetary policy, they are the ones who are going to pronounce the fiscal policy, they are the ones who are going to shape the general economic theory or economics which is going to drive that particular country. So you can actually see that the political systems theory is closely related to the economic theory of entrepreneurship, and both have play a key role when it comes to influencing entrepreneurship, startups, growth, development, and of course, individuals are going to respond accordingly. So, the political systems theory is looking at the policies which are what enacted by the ruling political party and, of course, the government. The whole idea is to what extent are policies being promulgated by the ruling political party as well as the government of the day? To what extent do they promote entrepreneurship? And when we talk about entrepreneurship, we are saying the starting of new businesses. Entrepreneurship is about the starting of new businesses or the starting of new ventures. So you then ask, are there policies which are favorable, which promote, in other words, which makes it easier to start a business? You are also looking at issues of security. Okay, if you start your business, that's a private concern, that's a private property. Are there policies that safeguard, that protect your investment? So if individuals feel not very safe, if individuals feel that if I start my business, it's not very safe, my investment can just be taken away one way or the other, or I can just wake up the next day, my business is already collapsed. Not because you have done any thing wrong, not because you have made a wrong management decision, but because of the policies of the government of the day. You just wake up tomorrow, your business has collapsed. What it means is the political systems theory or the political systems nature or perspective in that particular economy is not encouraging entrepreneurship. So, to summarize, we are simply saying political systems theory is saying it is up to the ruling party of the day and the government of the day to come up with policies that should promote entrepreneurship. And when this is happening, then you get more people being motivated to start their business. So you are also looking at the support for potential entrepreneurs. Are there grants? Remember, if an entrepreneur is to get into business, it's not only the idea. Many individuals have brilliant creative ideas and inventions in their mind. But these creative ideas, these inventions, majority of them, they never see the light of the day. Why is it that so many people with brilliant ideas, creativity, why is it that their innovations rarely find themselves in the market? The reason: lack of capital, lack of money, lack of funding is one of the biggest setbacks, biggest stumbling block for many brilliant entrepreneurs. Why? Because if they approach microfinance companies, the interest rate is very high. Money lenders, the interest rate is extremely high. They try to approach banks. Banks will tell them, before we lend you money, before we give you money, first of all, give us some financial statement or bank statements showing us how you have been operating for the past 3 years. And then, sometimes what banks ask is quite illogical. Because I'm saying I am an individual, I have not been in business. I want to start my business for the very first time, but they want a history. They want an experience of how I've been operating in the past. How can I produce that experience? And yet I'm saying I want to start. And then they will tell you, in that case, if you don't have, we can support you. We are not interested in greenhorns. Greenhorns refers to somebody who wants to start a new project and they have never been in business. So they will tell you, because you have never been in business, the risk is too high. So we are not interested in funding that. We are interested in funding experienced business, those that have been in operation for over 3 years, 5 years, 7 years. So, can you see how our banks can actually kill entrepreneurship? This is how our banks kill new startups, because where on earth will an individual with a brilliant idea, with a brilliant creativity, where on earth are they going to get the money to fund their new business if banks are not interested in financing startups? So you can see, therefore, the only fallback is the government. It means individuals, those that want to start new business, should have an escape route of going to their government and say, look, government, I am your citizen. I've got this brilliant idea. I've got this brilliant innovation. Can I get financial support? So it means a government of the day should have within its budget grants. A grant is that amount of money where you can actually access and not return. But also, some grants can have specifications where you actually borrow and return so that you replenish. In other words, you get assisted, and since you have been assisted, you should return the fund even without interest. But when you return it, it means you are replenishing so that you keep recycling this grant. It becomes a pool of funds which can always finance new startups. So, if a government of the day has got policies such as this, then it means it is promoting entrepreneurship. All this that I'm talking about is what the political systems theory of entrepreneurship speaks to. And as I come to a close, I'm sure you can see that the political systems theory is closely related, okay, with the economics theory of entrepreneurship, because they tend to speak the same thing. We are talking about the availability of capital, its accessibility, the interest rate should be very low, the exchange rate, okay, should be very strong, the availability of the local currency, and the confidence level. Does the general public have confidence in their own currency? Or is it that the general public will actually prefer a foreign currency and dump and ditch, okay, their own local currency? If it is happening like that, then it's very difficult for individuals to start their new businesses, because you then need to price your products and services in your local currency, which is a lot much easier for the money to circulate and also to get change. But if you are then forced to have to price it in the foreign currency, it becomes extremely difficult. And sometimes you then have come into challenges with your own very local economic policies, because the rule of thumb is that the domestic economy is supposed to run on a local currency. And that's why in any domestic economy, you are not allowed to trade and sell, or to buy and sell in the foreign currency. That is quite a unique situation. So you see, but it then happens why? When the local currency is not performing very well. So this end up happening. Why? Because the local currency is not performing very well. So these are the challenges that entrepreneurs face in that particular economy. Okay, as we come to a close, we are just midway. Let me just remind you that if you are in Zimbabwe, you can enroll for our January 2026 intake and attend face to face our block release. And of course, you can do your certificates or diplomas in business management, marketing, and public relations, applied entrepreneurship, amongst others. If you are not in Zimbabwe, or if you are in Zimbabwe but you are far away, you are not able to actually attend our block release, then you can study online. Actually, online is much, much more flexible, because wherever you are, you can study online, and we've got qualified lecturers, majority with master degrees and a few with PhD degrees. Okay, our contact details, they are eiz@sbgazim.com, eiz@sbgazim.com. You can also get us on +263 77 335 3800, +263 77 335 3800. Enroll for our January 2026 intake. Get EIZ certified. And we also have what we call a new business startup coaching and mentorship. We call it Start Grow Venture Program. Start Grow Venture Program, SGVP. What it does is that whether you are a student from any college in Zimbabwe or any university, you can enroll into our SGVP. The minimum duration is 1 year. This is where we coach you practically, step by step, throughout all the steps of new venture creation, with no step skipped. Yes, no step skipped. Step by step, we walk you through idea generation, appraising the idea, selecting, marketing, research. We do all that, and also assist you to look around or raise the required resources. We help you from local markets, regional and international markets. So if you are interested, please enroll in our SGVP. Okay, and we normally conduct it via online as well as face to face. And we also have an opportunity for guest coaches who come from industry to further strengthen your knowledge about starting, managing, and growing the business of your choice. So, what are you still waiting for? Get in touch with us, enroll for our formal certificates or diplomas, or enroll into our new venture creation, the SGVP. Others, that's all from me, Dr. Charlie, TSBD, the small business doctor. And like I said, I'm your host right here at EIZ. And today's EIZ Insights, we were looking into the second theory that explains why people get into business. It explains motivation for business. And today we looked at the political systems theory. In the previous episode, we looked at the economic theory. And today we state that there is a close relationship between the economic theory as well as the political systems theory. I want to believe that you have thoroughly enjoyed this episode, and as such, thank you very much. And here are our contact details again: +263 77 335 3800, +263 77 335 3800. It's on WhatsApp. Email address eizsbgazim.com. Please do get in touch. What are you still waiting for? So that you enroll either in our SGVP or you register for our January 2026 intake. Okay, we are waiting for you and to welcome you aboard. Thank you very much for being with us. So give me your feedback. I really value your feedback. What do you think about this video? Are there any issues that you want clarified? Is there a particular topic that you want me to address in my next podcast? Please share with me so that we can help you benefit in these episodes. Remember, this is your channel. We do this for you. Of course, as I go, like I always do, click the subscriber button so that you become the first to get notified each time I release podcasts like this. Of course, please do click the subscriber button. Thank you very much for watching. Once again, my name Dr. Charlie, TSBD, the Small Business Doctor, and I'm your host. And remember, I hold a PhD in management from the Manchester Metropolitan University, the University of World Class Professionals. And if you ever want to study abroad, I recommend go to the UK and, of course, do your studies with none other than Manchester Metropolitan University. You get value for money. I've been there and I know what I'm talking about. And right now, Manchester Metropolitan University is celebrating one of its latest accolades. It was nominated to be the modern university of the year 2026. Check it out by the Times and Sunday Times, the good university guide. So you check it out. So I want to encourage you, register for your studies abroad if you want to, and select none other than Manchester Metropolitan University. It's a great university. I've been there. With that said, thank you very much for watching. I look forward to our next episode as we continue to bring you these EIZ insights. Dr. Charlie, I sign out. Bye bye.